Terri deserves this award because she is absolutely amazing in every respect. She's a great leader. She is amazing with kids. If you ever go and get to take a peek at what she does, you'll know. You'll instantly know.
I love coming to work. There are days that I kind of go, oh, whew, it was a rough day, but I love coming to work. I love my job. I love working with families that struggle, right? That need some support and help. I love working with families who want their students to be part of our program, who will recognize the value of having their tuition-paying student with students with disabilities and understanding that value. I love watching my teachers and my para-educators grow and their skills. It's so exciting. We do a training and then 2 weeks later we go back and do that feedback cycle and see how they're doing, and they're making remarkable progress. I love it. I love it. It's the best job in the world. It's the best job in Canyons. That's what I think.
She's an example to everyone on the perfect way to interact with kids. She holds them accountable, but then loving them at the same time. It's perfect.
My real reward are the children and the staff that I work with, without question.
When I learned Terri was the District Administrator of the Year, I was absolutely thrilled, and my first thought was, how do I share this with everybody, because they're going to want to know.
It means a lot to be recognized. I would say that I have given everything I can to Canyon School District, and will continue to do so. So to be recognized for that is amazing. It's amazing, and I appreciate it to the nth degree, right? I appreciate it a lot. And an HR, and it was so exciting. It was an exciting time. I mean, it's dear to my heart that time. It's very dear to my heart. I wouldn't have changed it. A single thing about it. Not a single thing. I loved it. We had many teachers that came to us from Jordan School District, right? So they had a certain culture in place and a certain level of expectation of what they wanted to do and how they thought things needed to be done. So one cool thing that I was able to do is I sat down and interviewed every single one of those teachers and talked about the pros and the cons and what their thoughts are and how would they, if they could build the best early childhood program it could be, what would it look like? And we had some great conversations. And I think being able to do that, normally you wouldn't be able to do that just walking in the door, right? We were able to literally start from scratch. They were able to let go of old practices perhaps, right? And we were able to move forward from there. I would say one of the top things is that every single one of our teachers are certified special ed, early childhood teacher. That teaches both general ed students and special ed students. I would say across the state, that is not the norm. So we have a certified teacher that's in every single classroom. I would also say that the type of pedagogy that we use with young children is unique. I think that we are able to do things that are based on research, that how young children learn, not just based on a curriculum or based on a set of standards that they have to follow. We're building it as the pedagogy based on how children learn. You know, I think that it builds the foundation both for pre-academic stuff and those components, but also the social component. You and I have talked a lot about that over the years, that building that social component is so huge. And one of the key things that we do, I would say, that in our preschools is that both adults and children learn how to do conflict resolution. Learn how to problem solve the problem, and that there's not always just one right answer, which means that the teacher's always right. There's lots of ways to solve problems, and eventually as we do that, young children are learning to solve problems on their own and coming up to teachers and saying, "Teacher, we had a problem." And the teacher's like, "I didn't know you had a problem. Tell me how you solved it." Right? Tell me how you solved it. Wouldn't that be amazing if we could do that all the way? Children could do that in every grade, regardless. Why did I pick that? So in my career, I started out as a resource teacher, special ed resource teacher. And I spent 2 years in Oregon, and I realized I was too homesick to be there, so I came back to Utah. And I taught in another district doing resource. And next door to me was a preschool classroom. And I realized on my spaces in between my kids, I was spending time in there supporting that classroom, and I loved it. So I probably only did that for a couple of years, coming back to Utah as a resource teacher, and I went back and got my degree and my licensure in order to do preschool special ed. I love young children, and I understand how they learn, and I know how to teach adults on how to teach young children. So I wouldn't do it any other way. You know, they learn completely different. Logic is different. Space and time is different. They believe Spider-Man is real. So when you have students who believe Spider-Man is real, you need to teach them differently. When they can't understand quite yet that a cookie broken in half is the same thing as a cookie that is whole, and have meltdowns about that, you have to teach them differently. They're different. They're different, and they think differently. Their language is developing, their social skills are developing, their peer relationships are developing. They're learning how to be part of engaging with the different adults in the classroom that they've never had to do before. They think differently is probably the biggest component. That's why 4-year-olds are different. They are. Some people call me the child whisperer, right? So they walk in the door and they're having a problem with a student, or the student's not doing what they need to do, and I'm able to walk in the door and help give that teacher support and give that child support. And then we're better for it, right? We're better for it. And the child's better and is able to perform better, and the teacher's better for it. They feel more confident about it too. And I think that I would say that it is a talent that I do have, without question. But I think when I started my career in early childhood, I didn't understand the research behind it. And as I've learned more about the research behind it and how young children learn and how they think, it makes it so much easier. And that's what I work on every single year in teaching my teachers and all the adults, the teachers, the paraeducators, and the speech therapists, how to do this. I had a teacher who shared an anecdote with me that they were talking about colors and how mixing colors, that they change, right, and so forth. And I had this teacher reported back to me, based on how she was instructing and how she was doing it, that the child got so excited and so lit up that because he made green, right? And rather than that teacher coming back and said, "You're right, blue and yellow make green," she asked him to process and think about, how did he make green? How did those two colors, what two colors did you use? How did that come together? Because it's much more than just learning things rote, right? It's much more than just learning things rotely. And we want children to learn that way. So it takes a lot of practice on with adults to think about how to help children cognitively process the problem-solving skills, whether it's through academics or social skills or whatever, on how to do that.
Yeah.